Peace and good morning, everyone. Thanks for being here today. Hi, Wanda. Hi, Linda. Hey, peace. I'm Peter Panagore, an ex-clergy and near-death experiencer. If your preacher preaches hate, walk away. This is not church. This is mysticism, no doctrine, no dogma, no Bravo Sierra. Welcome, and thanks everybody for being here this morning, showing up live. Hi, Diane and Ann and Kelly. Open your heart to what intuition tells you. Feel of it. Today, the mystical wolves and our path among them. The mystical path among wolves. Interpreting Thomas 39, Luke 10:3, Matthew 10:16, and the Tao Te Ching of Lao Tzu, number 33. So, who are the wolves? And who are you? And how do we find our way? In about 1,000 words, 6 parts. First, a little brief meditation to join us all together. This is the way I heard it as a child. Amin. Amin. A-M-I-N. Greek Orthodox. Priest would always sing, much better voice than me. Amen. Amen in Greek. Heart, vibrate. Throat, vibrate. Head, vibrate. Give it a try this morning, something different instead of the Om. Let's try the Amen. It's a full belly, which fills the lungs up. You can lift your lungs up. Amen. And then let's go back into our normal relaxation of just breath practice. After 3 of those, beginners, you can practice your meditative repetition of a prayer or a mantra and breathe up and down your spine. I like standing. I'm standing up again today because I really like the energy that I have inside myself when I stand and speak or when I stand and practice. This is all about controlled breath. And you breathe into the navel and up, out your nose, filling your belly, out your nose if you're a beginner. Everybody else, if you've been practicing with me for a while, practice where you are, practice what you've been practicing. Let's begin. Thanks for being here, everybody. Thanks for liking and subscribing. Matthew 10:16. I am sending you out like sheep among wolves. Therefore be as shrewd as snakes and as innocent as doves. Luke 10:3. Behold, I send you forth as sheep amid wolves. Be ye therefore as wise as serpents and as harmless as doves. Thomas 39, Yeshua said, the Pharisees and the scholars have hidden the keys of knowledge. They have taken them and hidden them. They have not earned. I'm taking that again. I lost my mental focus. I got carried away on spirit and kind of lifted out of myself. Thomas 39, Yeshua said, the Pharisees and the scholars have taken the keys of knowledge and have hidden them. They've not entered, nor have they allowed those who want to enter to do so. Navigating the divine path. 6 parts. One of the beautiful things about the scriptures is their depth of wisdom, even though they're hidden. This wisdom, this plural wisdom, hidden in all these tucked in places. This wisdom transcends religious institutions and points us toward the personal, intimate connection with the divine. So let's dive in, mystical exploration of these 3 unique yet interconnected texts. The Gospel of Thomas, Luke, and Matthew. So let's unveil the Gospel of Thomas 39. If we look at the Gospel of Thomas, we see a picture of religious gatekeepers, the Pharisees and scribes. They've hidden the keys of acquaintance. Acquaintance, it's another word that's translated in that Thomas passage. Hidden the keys of acquaintance and knowledge. You get to be acquainted and then you get to have knowledge, but they've hidden these keys. And here's the kicker. They don't enter into that divine communion. They don't enter into that divine connection. They don't enter into their own selves, and they don't allow others to do so. This text continues further. It goes on to guide us, seekers. I am still a seeker. I am still in pursuit of the divine. I have sought and found, but I still pursue because it is infinity. And I, here, am limited. This text goes on to guide us, we seekers, like you and me, to be as wise as snakes. I love saying that way. Snakes. And as innocent as doves. Isn't it interesting that Jesus chose snakes given its association with Eve? He says snakes are wise and doves are innocent. This is an invitation into the purity that goes beyond the confines of organized religion. This purity is the polishing of your inner lens, the practice of non-attachment, the quietude of the silence that you find when your heart vibrates and your mind is fully in your heart. And you're just feeling of it, begin to feel of it. This is the place of you. This is your home. This is the key that they've hidden from us. But we found it because there were lots of people who found it all through time, including Jesus, including Lao Tzu. But I want to ask you this. Who do you think are similar to the Pharisees and scribes in our time? 2. Luke 10. Lambs among wolves. In Luke 10:3, Jesus warns his disciples saying, I'm sending you out like lambs among wolves. Think about that. Have you ever felt like a lamb among wolves because of your mystical experience because you are now set outside of society? I know I have. I still suffer that element. I'm still a lamb among wolves. But I've learned to be and practiced and found how to be as wise as a snake and as innocent as a dove, even though I'm a lamb among wolves. Now, isn't that something? To give us this great gift and then to send us out as I feel like I'm sent out, but also just living my daily life as a lamb among wolves. I don't blame the wolf for being the wolf. The wolf is the wolf. The wolf isn't the bad guy here because a wolf is just a wolf. It is what it is, like a lamb is what it is. But when you become this other thing, this higher self, that's when the innocence becomes more than a practice, it becomes a beingness. And that's a tough place to be. It's an alert to us. This passage is an alert to us that as we face the trials of our as spiritual seekers in a world that misunderstands us and our quests, this is what it's going to be like. Lamb among wolves. That's an exaggeration. It's a little bit of an exaggeration. They're no longer killing mystics like they did to Abba Ibn or Joan of Arc. This image of the innocent and the pure lamb highlights the contrast. This is why Jesus often talks in super big contrast. That's what a parable is. A parable is there is a super big contrast that pits one idea against the other, tries to break the mind in between, to give you space to be what you already are, to remember your higher self when the mind stops working. So here's the lamb and the wolf, these very distant images. And we see here that the purity of heart isn't just nice to have. The purity of heart isn't just nice to have. The innocence isn't just nice to have. It's the essence of self. It's one of the 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, I don't know the number, 99 in Islam, names of God, the attributes of God. Purity and innocence and wisdom are attributes. They are fractals. They are portions of the divine oneness, and they are experienced and lived inside oneself. When one touches into this inner space, these things arise naturally. And it's necessary for those seeking the divine to in pursuit of the beloved. It's necessary to remove oneself, and that's how purity is found. So what is purity of the heart? It's innocence of self. It's non-attachment. It's the end of the false self. It's the stopping of the stream of thoughts that tell us who we are and allow us to experience who we actually are. Now, can this innocence be obtained? Can you work toward this innocence? Can you create the purity of heart? Yes, you can. You can create the space for it. But we can't create the thing itself because it already is. We're not creating innocence. Innocence is eternal nature. Purity is eternal nature. We create the space for the innocence and the humility and the wisdom to live inside us. And as this lives inside us, that's how we go into the world. If the lamb is to be slaughtered, then so be it. If the lamb is to give wool, then so be it. It's not about that. It's not about the wolf. The wolf tries to make it about the wolf, but it's not. It's about the interior life in the midst of wolves. How do we go out into the world? by creating the space inside ourselves for the divine to dwell within us at ever greater rates, ever higher frequencies, ever more presence, ever more flow, by aiming ourselves at the divine oneness of being. I'm not making this up. It's not my idea. It is my experience. But this has been the teaching of Jesus for thousands of years. It's hidden in the Gospels. It's the teaching of Lao Tzu. It's a teaching of all great mystics. So 3, diving into Matthew chapter 10, verse 16, and Matthew 10:16, we find another warning, another version of this, but it's a little more specific. It's sheep among wolves, right? I jumped ahead there a little bit. It's sheep among wolves, but he advises them. I want to talk about this part of it. He advises us to be as wise as snakes and as harmless. Here's the word, as harmless as doves. And as snakes are wise. And again, you think about the myth of Eve and what that means. You know, what do you think about that? What do you think about how Jesus chose the snake? Tell me what you think about that. The wisdom of the snake. What do you think the wisdom of the snake is? For me, with the Eve story, the wisdom of the snake is this divine knowledge. Divine knowledge. Here we find a strong echo in this passage of Thomas 39, which emphasizes wisdom and the discernment and the purity as essentials for navigating our spiritual lives. And Matthew and Luke and Thomas, they're all kind of saying the same thing here. Somebody hid the keys, doesn't want to let you in. But how do you get in? You don't really need the keys. Their keys. The key is inside yourself. This is where the innocence, wisdom, and harmlessness, the humility, come as gifts of grace and states of being. How is it that Lao Tzu understood what Jesus understood? Different centuries, different languages, different cultures, different continents. Because it teaches itself. When you find it, you know it, and it knows you. 4 out of 6, joining the dots. So what happens when we look at all these texts side by side? We see this common thread. Our spiritual journey toward the divine often requires navigating a world that probably really doesn't support our pursuit. I know it doesn't in my life. I have a very accommodating wife. Everybody knows I'm eccentric in my town. And that's the best thing. We can be seen as eccentrics. At worst, as fools, or as the insane or the enemy. And I know that sounds like hyperbole, but in my daily life, when I aim at the divine in my language, speaking with somebody doesn't go so well most of the time. I can talk here among my friends, which is why we're here, to have the opportunity to talk. And there was this great chat this morning, in the chat before I even got here this morning, Robert and Tiffany, a place where we can talk about these things. These verses, these side-by-side verses, Thomas, Luke, Matthew, they teach us that the most profound mystical experiences come from personal encounters with the divine. This is the key that Jesus was trying to give to the people. Remember, in his time, the Pharisees and the scribes had hidden the keys because they collect power, or because they didn't know that what lay on the other side of the doorway, because they'd never been there themselves. Jesus had the key. Where did he find the key? He found it inside himself. That's where the key is. It's right here all the time, because it is who you are. It comes from personal encounters with the divine, these mystical experiences that we have. They come in all shapes and sizes and colors and mechanisms. And they give the gift of wisdom. They give the gift of wisdom. The knowledge of higher self. What is wisdom? It's a lot of things, but primarily it is the knowledge of your higher self. You know who you are. You've tasted it. You've seen it. Maybe you can't define it. Maybe you can't grasp it. Well, here's the thing. If you could grasp it and could define it, it wouldn't be it. It would be your idea of it. The knowledge of higher self is wisdom. And when you have a mystical experience of any kind, you experience a moment or moments, maybe days even for some people, of this higher self knowledge. It comes as innocence, which is also experiencing oneself as the divine. Purity, it's the end of the false self. This is what purity is. It isn't to be morally upright, although that's pretty good. But what does that mean? Those who control morality, they seem to preach a lot of hate. Purity is the end of the false self. What is impure isn't bad. It's not negative. It just needs to be filtered. You know, when I'm out in the woods and I scoop up water and it's a little mucky and there's microbes in it, it's still good water. It's just that I don't want to drink it before purifying it because I want the pure thing itself. Purity is the filtering out of the false self to allow the very essence of the crystal river, the crystal stream to flow inside. And that brings moments of peace, of peace. And this can be cultivated in our meditative practices. That's why I do this. That's why I meditate. That's why I practice yoga. That's why I chant while I walk or bicycle or do the dishes. To end my attachment to my false self. I don't go away. I'm still me. I mean, still have a personality, still have a character. But the deeper one goes into the peace and into the silence, the greater one's contentment becomes, because one becomes immersed in the presence itself all the time. All the time. And it's experienced in the world as this kind of harmlessness. And harmlessness is, well, you let people be who they are. You don't blame the wolf for being the wolf. You might not like the wolf. You might want to stay away from the wolf. You might want to prepare to protect yourself from the wolf. But the wolf is just the wolf, being wolfy. I mean, I want to protect the wolves. I mean, in my real life, like save the wolves, right? We need biodiversity, so just saying. And I understand the ranchers and their cattle. I get that. Okay. If there's any ranchers out there, because I know that there are. I too totally get that. Humility. Humility is a gift. The harmlessness of a dove who still tries to escape from around here, what gets the doves? The sharp-shinned hawk. The broad-winged hawk comes for the doves, the mourning doves. And they're harmless and they're pretty scaredy. They're the most scaredy catbirds out here. They're getting kind of used to me, though, finally. They're not flying off as soon as I peek at them. And they're harmless. But they don't like to be seen. They have this sense of humility to them. Humility is this harmlessness in the world because everything is as it is. You can defend, and it's necessary to defend. It doesn't mean that you don't protect yourself. It just means that they can't help being what they are. Thanks, KT. Oh my gosh, thank you, KT, for the super chat this morning. That's very generous, and I thank you very much. Now, these things, they don't come through the mediation, these things that are not things. And that's a big mistake we make, is even attaching to these gifts of innocence and purity. because they're not things. They are experiences. You can have the experience, but you can't have the thing of the experience. You can only be with it. And in these things, they don't come through the mediation of church authorities, beliefs, dogmas, or doctrines, and most especially, they don't come through hate. Now let's travel over to Lao Tzu, a little bit of universal mysticism here. Connect the dots between the global mystical experience. Lao Tzu wrote, "Knowing others is intelligence. Knowing yourself is true wisdom. Mastering others is strength. Mastering yourself is true power." Now, why is this power? Why is this true power? And when he says mastering yourself, it doesn't mean like controlling all the aspects of my facial stony face. It doesn't mean that kind of thing. The mastering of self is the very elimination of the lower self, or the elimination of attachment to the lower self. This is power, because it's no longer my power. It's the divine power, which is so much greater than my limited self. Thank you, Mary S., for the super chat. And in this ancient Taoist text, the way, remember early Christianity called Christianity the way? And Taoism is the way also, because ultimately it's the same thing. In this ancient Taoist text, it's like Lao Tzu is conversing with us. As always is the case with these mystics, they're leaving these works for us. They're talking to us, reminding us how crucial it is to really know our higher selves, to master our lower selves by getting out of the way. That's what all this is. It's stepping aside, stepping aside, stepping aside, stepping aside, over and over and over again. Stepping aside, getting out of the way. That's the mastery of self. The mastery of self isn't the control of the. Well, right now I'm trying to master my tongue. I've slurred some of this morning, and I can't. I'm trying to master my tongue. I haven't been stretching my mouth, so it's tight, and I can't quite master it. It's not that kind of mastering. It's the mastering of the elimination of attachment to false self. And this is the thing that propels us on our spiritual journeys. This is the thing we do have control over. I have no control over my mystical experiences. I have control over this. I create the space inside myself. For Lao Tzu and Jesus, remember they both only talked through their direct experiences. For Lao Tzu and Jesus, to know oneself is to recover and to remember what you already are. Your God self, your Christ consciousness, your original self, your Atman, your Brahman, your innermost golden light. And it isn't a memory like conjuring up an idea. It's a remembering of the absence of that, of the removal of that which prevents its presence. This is the practice of remembering. This is the practice of self-mastery. It's not about the power of the world. It's actually the opposite of that. It's the power of the infinity. It's not about showing off our knowledge or asserting control, which is what theologians and doctrinal arguments are all about. It's about uncovering our truth with a capital T and finding our inner strength. Do you see my inner strength? Do you think it's mine? It isn't mine. I don't have this. I don't even have this energy. It is what it is. It is its own self. Lao Tzu echoes what we've been exploring in the Gospel of Thomas and in Luke and in Matthew, that wisdom knows no bounds. Wisdom is always itself. And we're part of this beautiful tapestry of wisdom. In conclusion, almost conclusion, because I'm going to add something at the end, I think. These mystical interpretations from Thomas, Luke, Matthew, and Lao Tzu, they paint a vivid picture. Itchy nose, allergies. They paint a vivid picture of our journey to the divine in a world less hospitable to our journeys. Remember in the prologue to John? The light comes into the Logos, the light comes onto the world and into the darkness, and the darkness knows it not, accepts it not. Thank you, Lee Michael Walton, for the super chat. We live in this world that is inhospitable to our journeys because we're a threat. What are we a threat to? We're a threat to the false self in every one we meet. It clings to itself because it is self-identified. It knows only itself. Wisdom is not so much knowing as it is being, experiencing, feeling the presence. Now, my hope is as I go through all these explorations of these masters with you, I want to help them inspire you as they've inspired me to cultivate this wisdom, to cultivate this innocence, capital W, capital I, because wisdom and innocence are divine. Purity is divine. I want to talk a little bit about limitation and impurity in a moment. We can cultivate this wisdom and this innocence through a personal connection with the divine. I don't mean knowing Jesus as your personal Lord and Savior. I mean the elimination of self, the attachment to the false self. This is about experience and not belief. I don't ask anyone to believe me. I can't convince anybody. There's no way to make anybody believe what I understand through experience. And the same is true for you to me. We can only share the divine presence itself because the whole thing is subjective. But these writers, Thomas, Luke, Matthew, okay, those are schools of writers, right? So we don't know. Let's not get into that. Lao Tzu. They want us to come along with them. They saw in Jesus, Lao Tzu saw inside himself wisdom that he wants to give to us, that they want to give to us. This wisdom, it's rooted deeply in the mystical tradition. And there are guides as we walk on our spiritual paths among the wolves. How do I handle the wolves? I step back into love. I step back into love. I bring myself to the moment of peace. When I face a wolf in life, well, there's kind of two kinds of wolves, maybe. There's the wolf that wants to eat me because they are become somehow my enemy. And then there's the wolf that just doesn't think that I have any sanity at all. And in both cases, I step back inside myself. Again and again and again. And the more I step inside myself, the stronger I become in the world. The deeper I'm immersed in love, the stronger I become in the world. The deeper I immerse in the light, the more innocence and purity in the world. And the purity is just the cleansing of the debris in the way of the light. Thanks for being here with me today. This is a love-speaking ministry, not a ministry, and community. And I thank you all for the support you gave this morning. Sandra, thank you so much for the super chat. I am an independent person. I mean, just by nature, I'm independent, besides being eccentric. I'm not attached to any sort of support other than you all. And so thank you. This is a love-speaking ministry and a community of unique worldwide seekers, mystics. It's a gathering for spiritual seekers and finders, for mystical and near-death experiencers. And I know we have some of both among us. Hey, Maria. I just saw a name I should say hi to. And we learn from each other. I learned this morning in the chat with Robert and Tiffany. I read that whole thing. I was like, oh, cool. I come away with education. Meet us at the top of the hour for Mystic Tea Salon if you want to learn more of how we share our wisdom among us. We continue our discussions in depth. Humility, compassion, and kindness are our salon rules. That's it. Humility, compassion, kindness. The link is below. You can book a time if you want to talk to me ever. Thank you, Kristen. A love-speaking ministry and community of mystical seekers. Thanks for your generous support. peterpanagore.love. peterpanagore.love. You can book a time to talk to me. You can give me support if you would like. So here's the thing I wanted to talk about. This is kind of an addition. We have the whole thing backward here. The whole understanding of even the scientific understanding of materialism. We keep looking for the root of all existence. And I'm all for the super collider and science and quantum, and I'm all deep into that. I follow it, I read it, I have for decades. But what I think they're going to find isn't the smallest bit. I think eventually what they may find is the largest, infinite, divine. That's what I hope anyway. Because it doesn't go smaller and smaller and smaller back to this tiny bit. Actually, it's the infinite that reduces and reduces and reduces and reduces past that little tiny bit, reducing and reducing and reducing right down to us. We are the layered parts. We are the mucky area. We ascend further into purity. There is only one purity with a capital P. That's the reality of the divine. Everything else is less than, and we're pretty less than. And by going inward, we connect directly to the infinite, bypassing the layers of reduction. Layer upon layer upon layer. Limitation upon limitation upon limitation. Impurity upon impurity upon impurity. So as we work our own interior worlds to quiet our minds to be in that place of purity, moment by moment, once in a breath, once in a meditation, again at another time. In those moments, we jump right over all of the limitations and get to be in the now. That's how it works. Didn't make it up myself. Just believed the masters, Lao Tzu, Jesus, a whole bunch of other ones. Was like, okay, I'm kind of lost here after my NDE. Somebody said to me the other day, I'm going to be doing this podcast coming up, and we haven't scheduled it yet. But we were talking, and she's a brilliant person, and she was all about being an authentic person. And our conversation was all about being an authentic person, and how. And at the end of this, she was talking about how people can achieve becoming an authentic person. And I told her that she said, "How did you achieve it?" And I thought to myself, my problem was the opposite. My problem wasn't so much how to achieve being an authentic person. When I came back, I knew that I wasn't human. I knew who I was. I know who I am. My problem was the other way around. My problem was, how do I live in a world full of wolves. How do I do that? And I found that the technique is exactly the same. I came in already as an authentic self. I came back that way. But the technique to find my way back into the oneness of being, knowing the illusion of the world, is the same technique as everybody else's. That's the power of the practices of breath and mind. It leads you back to where you came from. The only difference is I know that. And that's the only difference. It's it's super equal. All right, that's enough of that chit chat. Now I've worked up a little bit of a sweat here. Let's see. Okay, I'm excited to tell people that will actually believe me. I am getting goosebumps this type. Cool. All right, I'm going to pull up my keyboard here so I have access to my mouse. Hope it doesn't get creaky and noisy. That's why I dropped that thing down. Peter, just what I needed to hear again. Thank you, Lynn. So I just follow the spirit. That's all thank you. It's not me. Just what you needed to hear was what the divine kind of set me up for. Serendipity again. I'm part of that whole matrix as well. Matrix of Indra's light, not matrix of the blessed matrix. Let's see. Glad you're here, Maria. Something's good. With gratitude. Thank you, Diane. Kelly, I'm glad you found the channel today. Hey, Kelly, you found the channel today. Thank you. I'm glad Maria Lusa, you found the channel today. Welcome, Maria. Rachel, perfect. Thank you so much. Shireen, thank you. You're welcome. Kristen, thank you. Tom Dewey, thank you for listening to the Spirit. Thanks, brother. I think we're a collection of people who listens to the Spirit. That's why we're here. That's what it's all about. Hi, lady. I'm skimming back up. Oh, hi. Yeah, Reverend Bill. Hey, Bill. Good to see you, brother. I know Bill from IANS. He's a near-death experiencer, travels the world, worth checking out. Teaches all over the place. Came back. I think you were a month in India teaching. Sandra, I am seeking and have come a long way, but I still have a long way to go. I love mystical seeking. It's unending. There is no end to infinity, which is why I also continue on my journey. I'm so glad you're here, Sandra, and I'm so glad to hear that you're on your own journey. The gifts keep piling up. The gifts keep piling up. You're not seeking the gifts. The gifts are just the extras, but the gifts keep piling up. The more one seeks, the more one finds. And thank you, Oriana Astra. Thank you for the super chat too. I appreciate this very much. Your help makes it possible for me to be here. Otherwise, I'd have to be doing other stuff, and because I don't have a trust fund, and I never made millions of dollars, because I changed my life, because I died and came back and didn't follow the route of everybody else in my family and the world. I chose, and I had a choice. Okay, I could have not chosen this, although it didn't feel like I had a choice. It was going to continue to batter me until I reoriented myself, but. She said, I had a choice, and I made my choice before I came back. My choosing here was secondary. I made the choice when I was dead. And actually, I made the choice long before this life even started. So mostly what I did is I accepted my fate. That's really, why am I telling you that? I don't have any idea. Laying on acupuncture mats daily for years has been a practice to help clear out the mucky layers, to purify slow but true process. Thank you, Unicorn Universe. Yes, here's the other thing I didn't mention is that I was watching this video on some martial arts teacher, Kung Fu chi person, and he's like, yeah, people come to me and they want to learn how to do this in a day. He said, it takes a lifetime. If you go to a teacher who teaches you how to do it in a day, maybe. He's like, didn't work that way for me. It's a practice, and it continues to give. So you can learn stuff along the way. For sure, it teaches along the way, or else why would you stay on the path? If it's not giving you anything, why would you continue going? So it does give along the way. It sure does. But there's an accumulation. And as was said a moment or two ago, it just keeps giving. My NDE, it never stops giving. I'm sure Bill will say the same thing. Brother Ed would say the same thing. Brooke, Trisha, Ingrid, anybody, Jay, Robert, everybody. It just keeps giving and giving and giving. You can ignore it. You can pretend it's not there, but it didn't work out so well for me when I tried. If you're not searching, you're not finding. Right, Tom? Right, you are. And again, yes, you found us today, Maria. Super. Do we all have spiritual guides here now and all the time? I do. And, when I was growing up, I had relationship with them. Every mystical experience I've ever had, I've had relationship with them. It's always the same angelic being, guardian angel, guide, whatever you want to call it, being of light. Always, always, never not. For sure. All the time, because there is no time on the other side. Timelessness. So it's not difficult for them. Are they around watching us and trying to connect with us? Yes. I decided in my practice, because of what I learned from all the mystics, to short circuit that, to kind of do an end run around my angel. All right. I've met the angelic being has carried me into heaven numerous times, dead and alive. But it's not the full thing itself. It's all the angelic being is also a sort of a reduction of that I can approach as a human being. So it's a lot of people do use them. Go to their guardian angel, have a relationship with their beings of light, as Ingrid Hunkela calls them, which is totally great, because ultimately it is also a channel into the divine, because it's made of the same substance. I just chose to kind of go around that and kind of go to the source itself. Ultimately, they all go to the source. There is nothing that does not go to the source, but especially these angelic beings, these guardians, they're directly connected. They're like superpositions. If you ever heard me talk about my angels, I talk about them as being superpositioned. They are both the purity and a little bit less than the purity, right? So they're the fullness of the divine being, but they're connected. And in order to be in communion with me, it sort of has to get smaller, even though it's so much bigger than me, so much more powerful. It's something that I could not be obliterated by in the presence of. So it's both these at the same time. So using your guides, connecting with your angels, is a connection to the divine. So, yeah, the way mine speaks to me is usually in language. It's beyond language. It's this presence. Sometimes, once in a while, in language, but it's pretty rare. Really need seeking always. Then Maria, this is what we do. We're all seekers here, all of us. Come to the Mystic Tea Salon if you're able. Meet some of us. It's a forum for conversation, and everybody has voice, and people bring wisdom. So we're always seeking here. You're welcome to come. How do we learn to recognize the wolves? Some of them are pretty obvious. But sometimes they're like nice wolves. They're nice wolves. They're friends, they're family, they're people who don't allow us to be ourselves. To mask. Remember that day in the post office when we were talking, Tom? You were unmasked, and people heard, and it was beautiful to me. But normally I can see on their faces and feel their energy when they're like, what? These guys are crazy. Feel of them, Tom. See them. I know you do it already. I've seen it. You see it in their eyes. You feel it from their hearts. Those who see, see. And those who don't, you can see that they don't. And if you can't see that, then you can talk to them and find out pretty quick. I hope that helps. Hey, Tom. I mean, Ed. Oh, and we got to go soon. In the stillness of the meditation that I witnessed and experienced my guardian angels, Brother Ed, NDE, multiple time. Spirit guides. Yeah, spirit guides. Wolves can be teachers. Yes, they can be. Thank you, Ellen. Boom. Wolves can be teachers. They are teachers. For sure. Thank you, Ellen. You see, in our wisdom community, there's wisdom to be found, right? Thanks, Ellen. You're in the UK. We're across the pond. You're that way from me right now. Martha, yes, Ellen, wills can teach us, but we don't want to be taught anymore. Peter, thank you for sharing your wisdom and being part of my spiritual growth. That's all I'm here for. I'm trying to help people grow spiritually. I'm trying to work myself out of a job, as I've said many times. You find this thing inside yourself, you live inside it. You don't need people like me because you already got it. It's right there inside you. I got to go, though. Hi, Kelly. I have that in your family a lot. I don't feel I belong. Yeah. You and me both. I love my family, but I'm kind of an alien. Not kind of. I hear you. It is not necessary that the wolves are stronger than the lambs. Yes, it is not. It is not necessarily that the wolves are stronger than the lambs. That's that's the thing, isn't it? Um, yeah. All right, I gotta go. I'm gonna. Oh, yeah. Oh, I didn't put the Zoom link in. I'm gonna do that right now. All right, so I'll pop it. Thanks for that. I'll pop it in the. I'll pop it right in the description, and I'll see you in a few minutes. Peace and love to you all. Sorry to dash off, but must. Um, Bye, Rachel. Yeah, I found nothing stronger than truth. All right, sorry, gotta go. Peace and love.